Okay, good morning, friends. Let's make sure all of this is functioning properly here. I think we're okay. If not, we'll be all right. All right. Thanks for joining this morning, and thank you to those in the Sangha. Thank you. Let's begin this morning just by allowing our attention to come to our breath and bringing our focus into our own bodies and allowing ourselves to settle into the place where we are. I know that most mornings I find myself 3 steps ahead of my own body and my mind, and my mind can take me into all these scattered places at the same time. But it often only takes a couple of breaths to bring me back into myself and into this place and settle in and just really start to be in a slight place of wonder. Start to feel the air on your skin in the room that you're in, or notice the smells, or the overall feeling that you have in your body as you take just a few breaths. Feel the air moving in through the nose to the bottom of the belly. It's an important practice to welcome in stillness into our bodies so that we can become aware of what we're feeling. But it's also really important to not force any part of the practice. Thanks for joining us here this morning for Journey Home Meditation's morning sit. I'm Michael, and I'm really happy to be here this morning. We're going to be following our regular morning practice of some shared breath and some contemplation, as well as getting into a little bit of the bell hooks poetry, but we'll just take a moment to get settled in. And if you need to grab more blankets too, there's more blankets in the cabinet as well. No, you're good. You're good. This is the practice. Knowing what we need in our body is really important, and it's really good that we can meet those needs. It's not always possible, so happy to facilitate. And we'll invite the bell. As we take 3 breaths together to settle into this place and this time. We are here right now. Breathing in, breathing out. Right. It really is a gift to be able to gather, even whether in personal spaces or through these mediated spaces, but to gather our consciousness, to gather our awareness that there are others who are also experiencing some of the things we experience. And there are those of us out there who are intentionally stepping into these practices. Really is a beautiful and sacred gift. So I can't tell you how many messages I receive from people saying, what you spoke about today, it speaks exactly to what I'm going through. And the reality there is that we are all going through these things. There's nothing particularly enlightened or special about any of the things that we are discussing here, but I'm just trying to shine a light on the dark places that I have inside of myself. And by dark places, I mean those places that I've kept in the shadows or have hidden behind. And I think we all have those places inside of us that we just haven't been able to see, haven't been able to look at for whatever reason. And to be able to come here together and take this time to do this, it really is quite special. So I just want to sit with a moment of gratitude for that. Just the awareness that we are not alone. I was having a discussion yesterday, and we were talking about that very thing, that there are so many of us right now who are suffering anxiety, fear, trauma, isolation, and loneliness seems to be one of those universal experiences that people are having. And the person commented, it just seems so bizarre to me that we are all here together experiencing loneliness. How is that possible? And I've been thinking about that since that conversation. And I think a lot of it comes down to belief. For whatever reason, actually for really good reasons, somebody once taught us that we're all alone in this world. And they maybe didn't say that explicitly, but it was through our experiences of feeling othered, feeling like we don't fit in or we don't belong. And this began very young for some of us. In school, you put a bunch of children together who are learning how to participate in the dance, the social dance. And the only thing we have is the conversations we hear our parents having in secret, those conversations that they don't have at church, but the ones they have when we get home from church, behind closed doors. We hear the othering, we hear the anxiety and the fear that our parents carried. And then we witness. People struggling and starving in the same community as those who are driving brand new cars, or those kids at school whose, it seems to us that their hardest thing is which person they're going to go to prom with, not whether or not they're going to have food on the table that week. And that feels very isolating, feels very othering. And so we start to develop these beliefs based on all this stuff that we collect as evidence. We have all this evidence that we start to gather for how we are in this alone. But the reality is a belief will be held despite the best evidence. Sometimes this is a really good thing, to be able to hold on to a belief despite what you see in front of you can be really empowering. When Nelson Mandela spoke about being in a South African apartheid prison and literally being alone for days and days and days on end in isolation and solitude, holding on to the belief of freedom is what kept him alive, gave him the strength and the courage to move forward. So sometimes that is a really good trait that we have, the ability to believe something despite the best evidence. But oftentimes, when we have this same strength and it's used to keep us closed to the world, it can inform a sense about ourselves that simply isn't true. And especially forming a sense about others that also isn't true. That feeling of isolation oftentimes is accompanied with the belief that others have it all together. And I hear this a lot. It seems like everybody else can just make it work, but I can't. This is a common belief. I know growing up in the church that I grew up in, I would oftentimes, I would see my mother cry before church because we didn't have new church clothes to wear on Sunday, and nice new things. And everybody else, especially on holidays like Easter or Christmas, they were going to be wearing their Sunday best. And we didn't have that. And this would really affect her. And she had this belief then that the outfits meant that these people had it all together. And so these are all the ways that we form evidence that we are alone in this, or we are isolated from the world. And we, more than ever now, have social media that just reaffirms this for us. And so I don't think that this is a failure of any of us to have those beliefs. But what I do also understand to be true is that it's not so important what you believe, it's what you're willing to question that matters. And are you willing to take just a few moments in your day to question your isolation? Are you willing to take those moments to allow the crack to let some light in? And as soon as you begin to go down that path, as soon as you begin to step into this agency amongst the feelings of drudgery and failure, then you'll start to see just how many more people are also here. And sometimes it just takes that vulnerability, that hopelessness, honestly, that place of, I don't know what else to do, before we get to that opening. And we just open our hearts and we say, somebody please help me. Somebody's come in. And I think that this is on my heart a lot, with what's coming up in our country right now, and how many people are affected by the fear and the insecurity and the reality of scarcity that they're experiencing in their lives. And so I just wanted to have a practice today where we can open our hearts a little bit and open up into the experience of our bodies, because I was speaking with someone this morning about trauma being in the body, and they were mentioning that, and it just reminded me that we spend so much time being told that the things we're feeling are all in our head, but they're not. The things we feel are in our body, but it's our body that gets stuck in our head. And what I mean by that is it's the stories and the beliefs that we have about the things we feel that we solidify as a belief. And when we can come to that place of just feeling it, just stepping into our bodies and feeling what needs to be felt, we can really begin to understand our strength, and our vastness, and in that lives our connection to each other. The ability to just be present with these feelings and this suffering really is the thing that can connect us. So in this morning practice, well, let's take some time to just be in silence together, but I want you to, if you will, I want to invite you to bring into your heart all of the people that you know that are suffering. And then bring into your heart all the people that you don't know that are suffering. But to get to that place, let's first bring ourselves into our heart space and recognize our own suffering. This is a practice called metta meditation, where we welcome in our own feelings of fear and anxiety and pain, and we sit with them and we hold that space, and then we do that for all of the people of the world. And we wish them love, and we wish them health, and we wish them safety. And we wish ourselves love and health and safety. Usually there's a mantra with this practice, but today I just want to do it in silence together. Just find a way to remind yourself that your belief that you are alone is no longer needed. Not today. Thanks, friends, for holding that in your heart today. That I suffer and that you suffer and that the world has a lot of people who suffer. In fact, I would say that it's all people. All living beings suffer to a degree. And it's that suffering that we push off and we avoid, and we do everything we can in our power to run away from. But it's oftentimes that very suffering that opens our heart and opens us to see our place in this world right now. And it's not that we have to bring on pain or suffering, self-flagellate or any of that. Like Mary Oliver says, you do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert. You only have to allow the soft animal of your body to love what it loves. And maybe that's the key. Just learning how to love what we love. And learning how to be loved. But I know that in my experience, that requires practice. And it's all right. I know how to do that. I've spent years of my life practicing feeling anything but those things. In fact, I've spent a lot of my life practicing not feeling at all, the practice of dissociation. And we get good at what we work on. We get good at what we practice. So when we have the belief in our head of our isolation, our loneliness, when we have this crippling doubt and this fear and anxiety that we practice every day, we're going to get really good at those things. So I am grateful for you being here today to practice gentleness and compassion and kindness, because the more we practice, the better at this we're going to get. And this is why we say here that if you want to feel better, you have to get better at feeling. So we practice and we practice and we practice. All right. Let's go to our poem today. We are still working through Bell Hook's Appalachian Elegy, Poetry in Place. It's a 66-part poem, and we're doing one a day, and we're not reading ahead. But so far, Bell Hooks, the poet, she's been taking us on this really amazing journey through her home place, her place of home, which was the hills of Appalachia, Kentucky. But in the honesty that she has given us with these places, and in the openness, it really has shown itself to be universal. So I think that's the whole thing. Once I worked on a farm. I did some work on a farm, and the farmer taught me, he had goats, and he also had horses and all these other animals. With the goat pens, he would be particularly focused on making sure we mended the fences regularly. And he said, the thing is, when a goat gets out of one of these fences, that's not the end. He said, I could stand to lose one or two goats every now and then. It wouldn't hurt me. But when a goat gets out of those fences and gets free, well, that goat comes back and teaches the other goats how to get out. And so one goat getting liberated can help liberate the rest. I think, that's me. I want to be the goat. And I'm just looking for those other goats that already got free. And that's what we do. That's what the practice is. And we're just learning from those who have practiced this before. Number 40. On hallowed ground, I cast the circle that there may be haven for the lost, refuge and sanctuary. Turning to the hills, I place feet on steady ground, letting earth hold me. In praise of air, I lift my hands to the heavens, call down grace for blessings. For anointed being, turning toward water, I let go remembered sins, cleanse and purify. Burning sage, I bring fire to warm and illuminate. All around this body light moves, a communion of gathered spirits. Wow. We spent the time today contemplating the notion that there are others out there. There's more of us out there. There's more people who are coming into these practices of compassion and kindness and learning how to find forgiveness in their bodies through the breath. And then Bell Hooks reminds us, all around this body, light moves, a communion of gathered spirits. And it's pretty clear this piece is talking about sanctification. Sanctification means to make something, to make our awareness present with the sacred, to bring our awareness to what is sacred. I once had a teacher say, that there is nothing that is sacred. There is what is and what we have desecrated. And what they were saying is we come into a completely perfect existence, and then it's through our disregard and disrespect and dissociation that we make things not sacred. But all we have to do is bring our awareness back to the sacredness of it, to sanctify. And this practice that she's doing here, that's a prayer. To place her feet on steady ground, letting earth hold her. She said, in praise of air, I lift my hands to the heavens. In praise of air. When's the last time we praised air? For me, that's what this practice is. This practice of breath is, it's a prayer of gratitude for air, for my body's ability to belong here. If you hop on one of these SpaceX rockets that are going to take everybody to Mars, and you hop out of that rocket, you're not going to be able to breathe the air. You don't belong. I'm not saying we shouldn't go. I don't have any opinion on any of that. Whatever people are going to do, that's what they're going to do. But what I'm saying is to recognize that right now, right here, you were born into a place where you belong. And that feeling that I don't belong, that comes with the isolation and the loneliness, well, it's just simply not true. So take it from Bell Hooks. In praise of air, I lift my hands to the heavens. And maybe that's what it is to have gratitude, is just to bring awareness to the wonder and the beauty of the thing. The wonder and the beauty of the thing. Standing at a funeral with our loved ones gathered around someone who has died, it's terribly sad. I would never think that this is necessarily a happy place to be. Sometimes it is. I've been in many funerals where there is a feeling of happiness and a joy and a celebration for this person. But oftentimes, this is the time that we set aside for our sorrow in that moment. And standing in your sorrow with others who you love and who love you and who loved this person, and sharing that sorrow, that's gratitude. That's the place we grow from. So So I think that's what bell hooks is teaching us, and I think that's what our breath is teaching us how we belong. So thank you for being here this morning. And if there's anybody that has any questions, comments, or experiences, you can share in the chat or in here. If there's any questions or anything that anybody would like to share in the room, we have time. All right. Thank you, friends, for taking the time today to tend to your breath and welcome some gentleness into your body. I know that it makes a difference. I know that as we move through our day, we are offering this gentleness to ourselves as a way to offer it to the world. And that means something. So I appreciate you for doing that. Take care.